Chris Doyle is the Director of Council for Arab-British Understanding and the current lead spokesperson for the Council. Mr. Doyle is joining us from London. Welcome to the show and Happy New Year to you. It seems like the HTNs means good after all, and they are championing for change. What's the significance of the new transition government re-establishing ties with countries within its borders, including Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia could play a very leading role in the future of Syria as it goes forward, because any Syrian government will look for, firstly, the legitimacy of Saudi Arabia in accepting it, in recognizing it, in dealing with it. Secondly, they will also be looking for significant assistance, humanitarian assistance, but also economic assistance and investment, because Saudi Arabia can fill the gap that in many ways has been left by Iran, who's obviously now no longer the central player that it was when Bashar al-Assad was president. So Saudi Arabia could, for example, fill the void, the gap in fuel supplies, which is crucial, as Syria still suffers from an immense amount of blackouts and energy deficiencies. So Saudi could play a role there. I think also it is important for Saudi Arabia in that it is able to do this along with large oil exporting states, Kuwait, for example, UAE, because they will want to see Iran kept out of Syria. Iran could play a spoiling role. It's obviously aggrieved because of defeats and setbacks that it suffered in terms of its allies, such as Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, but now also Assad in Syria. So Saudi Arabia will want to be influential in determining the future direction of how things play out in Syria, which is really at such a strategic point in its history, really.
Mr. Doyle, how precarious is the occupied Golan Heights border region? We have not seen any retaliation from the new Syrian rulers following, strikes by Israel recently. How do you think that front will impact the relationship between Israel and the new Syria?
Well, there is no relationship as such, at least not in public. Clearly, the incoming transitional authorities, led by HTS, have not tried to antagonize the Israelis. I think they are very conscious that Israel, which of course has this huge support from the United States, will have the capabilities of degrading its own capabilities. So they do not wish to attract opprobrium from the Israelis. They've got enough challenges on their hands without having to deal with Israel. That said, of course, Israel has its own agendas, its own interests. It has, since the 8th of December, the departure of Bashar al-Assad, it has carried out massive amount of bombing against Syrian military assets and navy. It has taken further land from Syria, so it's actually increased the area of occupied land. And whilst it does that, of course, it will put HTS, the new authorities, in a difficult position, because there will be many Syrians who will be saying, what are you going to do about this? Why are you so quiet? Because Israel is on, Syrian territory. So it's an issue that maybe for the moment, the new powers that be in Syria can somewhat park to the side, but not for that long. And at some point, the international community has got to say to the Israelis, you do need to withdraw from these areas you have just occupied.
All right, Chris Doyle, thank you very much for making time for us and for talking to us today.
It's a pleasure.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.